Hello, and welcome to this review of the Landing a Lord historical romance book series by Suzanna Medeiros. I'm Olivia, your favorite resource for book recommendations you can easily screenshot. You're watching Random Olive Reads. Dancing with the Duke is the prequel novella to the series. Alex has promised his sister and mother that he would dance with his sister's friend Charlotte at her first ball. When he sees her for the first time in many years, he finds a beautiful woman in place of the awkward, gangly teen who had a crush on him before. He's surprised that he's so attracted to her and tries to avoid her after that ball, but as he keeps crossing paths with her, he can't seem to resist. This one is a pretty quick, low-angst story here to introduce his friends who have longer stories later in the series. Loving the Marquess is book one of the series. Nicholas is the second son of a Marquess and now has inherited the title after his father and brother both succumbed to an unexplained illness. Nicholas is now showing the same signs of that illness and worries about his health and possibility of passing the disease on to future generations. When he stumbles upon Louisa's cottage, he is nursed back to health after passing out, but he knows that his uncle has wronged her family and feels really bad about it. When his grandmother pressures him to marry, he considers asking Louisa to be his bride. In fortuitous timing for him, Louisa shows up to ask for Nicholas's assistance after his cousin is forcing her to pay rent that she can't afford or pay with alternate means. Nicholas proposes a marriage of convenience and offers protection for Louisa and her two younger siblings. However, he's planning for her pregnancy to be sired by someone other than him, so his illness isn't passed on. Of course, when Louisa finds out about this plan, she's rightfully upset, and these two need to figure out how to be honest with each other. Bonus, we do ultimately solve the mystery of Nicholas's illness to a happy ending for all. Beguiling the Earl is book two of the series. We pick up a few months after the end of the previous book, with Louisa's younger sister Catherine being out in society. She has had a crush on her brother-in-law's friend Carrick ever since they met last fall, and now she has the chance to see him at balls and events. Carrick is trying to resist his attraction for Catherine due to their age difference and because she's his friend's sister-in-law. But that resistance doesn't last long. He decides he'll court her in earnest, but his work as a spy forces him to pay court to another woman to investigate her father. The romance between Catherine and Carrick is pretty straightforward, with both of them understanding the need for pretense due to his work. The Unaffected Earl is book three of the series. This book starts directly after the events of book two. Rose's father has confessed to treason, but she doesn't believe that he's really guilty. So in trying to prove his innocence, she teams up with Branford, who is known to be a cold and aloof and maybe has ties to spy work. And it just so happens that these two have been pining for each other all season, despite Rose's popularity and Branford's coldness. The Unsuitable Duke is book four of the series. We follow Branford's sister, Ellen, in this story, who is a widow to a cruel husband, and we're paired up with her childhood friend, Charles, who is now a duke. Apparently, when they were young, Charles pushed her away as a friend, and then when he realized that she grew up to become an attractive young woman, she was already betrothed to someone else. Now that she's out of mourning, Charles is taking the chance to court her, even though Ellen doesn't really trust his motives. The Unexpected Marquess is book five of the series. We have a time jump here between the previous book and this one. John Evans, brother to Louisa and Catherine from books 1 and 2, is back in England after having been at war for 10 years, and he's surprisingly inherited a marquisate from a very distant relative. He finds that his predecessor has left behind a niece, Amelia, who is in residence at the estate. She's trying to hide the fact that she's writing a novel and modeled the hero after John after he rescued her while she was in disguise as a barmaid. There's a smidge of angst here with her hiding her secret writing identity, but that doesn't last very long. The Unwilling Viscount is book six of the series. This one is about one of John's friends, Viscount Ashford, who we met in the previous book, and Amelia's friend, Mary. Ashford is being pressured by his mother and sister to get married, even though he's not looking for a bride. When he meets Mary again in London, he decides she will be perfect for a fake courtship to get his mother off his back. Mary has been living with her spiteful sister since her parents died and is making steps towards her independence this season. The fake courtship between Mary and Ashford doesn't last long, though, when they realize they're both really attracted to each other. The Baron's Return is book 7 of the series. The third of the friend group from book 5 and 6 is a baron who had his heart broken when a lady cruelly rejects him and marries another person. After the heartbreak, Gideon joins the army, becomes a rake, and is generally distrustful of women. Abigail is finally out of mourning from her much older husband that her father forced her to marry. With Gideon back in England, she tells him that they have a daughter together, and then he declares that they'll get married. He's got no intention of falling in love again, but she's determined to win him back. Courting the Earl is book 8 of the series. An earl and a debutante are arranged to be married by their fathers. The debutante Lydia is excited about it, even though she would kind of like to flirt and enjoy her first season. However, Geoffrey is completely opposed to his late father's high-handedness and wants to get out of the engagement. Also, Geoffrey is much more intrigued by Lydia's cousin Eleanor, who believes herself to be plain and ineligible next to her young and pretty cousin. While Eleanor is stuck chaperoning Lydia in Geoffrey's many outings, she's trying really hard not to be attracted to Geoffrey. He's not trying quite as hard and even encourages Lydia to entertain other suitors. This one was pretty quick and easy to read, with not too much angst in its resolution. And lastly, we have Tempting the Viscount, book 9 of the series. Another quick and fairly easy read. Widowed Lucy is out of mourning for her terrible husband and ready to take on a lover. Viscount Holbrook is intrigued by Lucy but wants to court her instead. They make a bargain having to do with helping her find pleasure in exchange for a proper courtship. It's all very straightforward, and it was nice seeing Holbrook focus his attentions on Lucy and trying to convince her that she deserves pleasure, companionship, and love. So overall, this 9-book plus a prequel, 10-book series are pretty quick and easy reads. They're a little bit longer than novellas, but shorter than most novels. Some are relatively low angst and low drama, but every so often you get a fun little juicy plot twist. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you found a book or two to add to your TBR. Links to all of these books are in the description box. Like and subscribe to get updates, and you can follow me on Instagram @randomolive.